Hello everyone, this is part 6 of What If Naruto Was Abandoned But Found Someone, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Naruto and Ino sat on the couch, with the Vulpine Council facing them, sitting on pillows that Naruto had thrown down. Sakura and the children were instructed to wait in her house on the grounds. The foxes were not very impressed with this display and one let it be known that the Vulpine stood on ceremony. Even the old Kyuubi had been a stickler for tradition and pomp. Naruto glared at them and shook his head. I'm sorry to inform you, honored council members, but I do not stand on ceremony. I may have been born of noble B, but I was not raised a nobleman. I lived alone my whole life, I had no one to love me, and everyone ignored me. I don't like pomp and circumstance, I don't like formalities, and I don't like it when someone tells me that tradition outweighs what is right. Do not presume that I will stand by what has been done for so many years. I will do what is right for my people, nothing more, nothing less. You see, honored council members. Lord Naruto is the best choice we could possibly want for king. He is kind and wise, strong and firm. I believe. At this point the large white fox growled at Genmaki, who flattened his ears and tucked his tail. Do not speak out of turn here, Genmaki. Your opinions have already been duly noted. You were only to observe the prospective king, not befriend him. I feel your judgment has been clouded. We let you carry your post too long. A loud, guttural growl was heard to the front of the Vulpine Council and they turned to see a very irate Ino and a fuming Naruto with glowing blue eyes. His tail swished angrily and his whisker marks, teeth, and fangs had become undeniably pronounced. Even in the of night, people could feel the unbridled anger rolling off the Vulpine King. The pressure he was emitting was suffocating and the council in front of him were terrified. Without changing to his fox form, Naruto's voice deepened. You will never speak to a friend of mine in such a manner. He has stood by me since my ascension to king and you will respect him the way you respect me. If you believe me unsuited for being your king, then by all means, piss off and go away. But know this power is mine and if you try to seal it away, I will come down upon you with a terrible vengeance. I have dealt with a pompous council once already in my mortal life and I shall not deal with one in my own realm. If you do not like this, then tell me now, and we shall do something about it. The blue-furred fox stepped forward and bowed its head respectfully. We meant no disrespect, Lord Naruto. It is just that Genmaki is only a five-tail. He does not have the wisdom or privilege to speak here unless spoken to. Then I will give him the privilege. My mate is only a two-tail. Does this mean that she as well must hold her tongue when something needs to be said? Your tails do not belie your knowledge. They only signify your status and power. The lowliest commoner can have the best sense and the noblest be. Fools are born to all lines, but the truly noble and greatest of us all work for their status. Under my reign, the foxes will prosper, not because they look down the noses at those beneath them, but because those willing to work for their station will be rewarded greatly. If I deem a fox worthy of more power, I will grant them such. I will not deny even a commoner a chance at happiness because they were born of low station. The gray fox stood and bowed. So, Lord Naruto, what you are saying is that as regent you will bring all classes together. That is foolhardy. It will never work. And why not, councilman? The white fox spoke again. Because the class system is there for a reason. It is there to show who are the betters and who holds the lowest of B. The upper class rules because we are fit to rule. The lower class serves because that is what they are born to do. Then as soon as I get to the realm, I will break those barriers down. I have seen what class and pure B can do to the will of humans. I will not have my people be subjected to those horrors any longer. I have seen a family torn asunder by the absolute fanatic need to preserve the pure B. I have seen a family in cold B because one thought himself better than all the rest and wanted to test himself. I will repeat, I will not let this happen on my watch. The white fox looked at Naruto with his eyes aflame with anger. And you would have us do what? Let the commoners run amok. Have their own traditions and make them equal to us. My clan has been among the elite for eons, Kit. I would not presume that the council would let you waltz in and change our traditions and ways of life simply to satisfy your own need to be accepted. This is not how a king rules. So you would have me rule through fear. Fine, I can do that too. Before anyone could make a move, Naruto had charged across the room and pinned the white fox to the wall by his tea, his eyes blazing and his claws extended, his voice once again demonic. All but Ino looked on in shock. She merely thought the pompous fox was getting what he deserved. Now see where your station gets you. I don't respect those who don't deserve it. You don't deserve my respect, nor will you remain on this council if you keep acting high and mighty. If you're as wise as you say you are, you will hold your tongue and act as a councilman should. You will act for the benefit of your people, not yourself. This is how the new kingdom of the Vulpine will be led. All are equal or none have freedom. You have chosen me for the job, now let me perform my duty. Genmaki was beside himself. On one hand, he was shocked that someone had defied the council. Not even the previous QB had taken the council head on. On the other hand, he was ecstatic. His new king had just proclaimed that the Vulpine would all be equal, no more class, no more injustice because of a low birth. It was a good time to be a fox. Ino was proud of her mate. He was exhibiting all the necessary qualities of a king. He would listen to the council members, but he was a man of the people. Always had been, always will be. He hated injustice, he hated fierceness, and he hated Blue Bee. This white fox had just dug his own grave. The other two council members were in shock. Even the previous QB had kowtowed to them when pressed. This new monarch would obviously rather fight them tooth and nail than give in to the demands. They were both of the upper middle class of the Vulpine. High enough to be granted a council position if they showed enough initiative, but still of low enough to be looked down upon by the highest of the foxes. Perhaps, just maybe, their new monarch would prove beneficial to the people. The blue fox stepped forward. Lord Naruto, please put the elder councilman down. If he spoke out of turn, let him make amends and put things right. Naruto didn't turn around. He kept the white fox against the wall with one hand and addressed the blue fox. What is your name? The blue fox started at this. No one had ever asked a council member for their name. My name is Kazuma. Kazuma of the Ebon Forest. Why do you ask? Because I would know the names of my subjects. And your fellow councilmen. The gray fox replied in kind. My name is Hinamori of the Golden Plain. No QB to our knowledge has ever asked the names of the council. Why is it important that you know our names? Because I wish for you to trust me and believe in my cause. I want to create a kingdom where all are equal and everyone prospers, not a place where the wealthy and strong make the destitute and weak serve them. The strong exist so that they may serve the weak. For even the weakest of body can have the strongest mind. Even kings need advisors that have more than muscle. And I apologize, councilwoman, not recognizing your gender beforehand. Hinamori and Kazuma pondered on this and were suitably satisfied with how their new regent acted. They had never been ones for holding down the lower classes, but were the youngest on the council and were expected to hold their tongues. Hinamori spoke. Very well, we will trust you. What of the elder councilman though? What will you do with him? I believe in second chances for some. He made a bad first impression, but I will allow him a chance to prove himself. I will not put up with any nonsense on his part though. He will not seek to subjugate our people or I will end it swiftly. I will not have dissension in the ranks. Naruto narrowed his eyes and lowered the elder to the floor gently, where he bounded away and back to his cushion. Insolent Kit, do you know who I am? No, but you're going to tell me. I am Ginjo of the White Crown. My clan is the elite among the Vulpine. I will not be slighted by one who thinks he is above me. Naruto walked to the fox and looked him in his eyes with a glare that made everyone shudder. By your class system, Elder One, I am above you. My B runs thicker than yours and by all rights I should K you here for slighting me. Just because you think you are noble I am supposed to bow to you. I think not. Since you stand so firmly on tradition, tell me Hinamori, Kazuma, what happens, traditionally, when someone insults the king or threatens the king? The two foxes looked at one another and wondered at their monarch's ingenuity. He had just turned the table on the elder councilman by using his own love for tradition against him. Kazuma offered his thoughts. Well, Lord Naruto, By law it is your right to K him where he stands. None may slight the monarch, not even a high council member. What will you do now? Naruto, who had never took his eyes off the white fox, smirked when he saw the flicker of fear in the old fox's eyes. Since he stands so strongly upon tradition, since he seeks to uphold his honor as a nobleman, I believe my first order as regent will be to have him combat the strongest of the so-called lower class. The white fox leered at his new monarch, the fear now totally gone. Ha! You seek to punish me like that. The strongest of the lower class is simply a five-tail like Genmaki. Surely you don't mean to make me fight him. The feral grin that passed onto Naruto's face sent shivers down the spines of all present. Of course not. Since you seem to see me as beneath you, you shall fight me. It seemed the room was a vacuum because all the air seemed to be sucked out of it when Naruto made his proclamation. The silence was broken by Ino's happy clapping and a snort from Genmaki. The white fox resembled a fish what with his mouth opening and closing. You can't be serious. I can't fight the monarch. It is against tradition unless the monarch feels his rule has been encroached upon. Exactly. You seem to think that you can rule better than me, so why not fight to prove that you are better than me? We shall fight tomorrow, in the realm, in front of all the people, at full power, to prove whose ideal is right. Tradition or change, a corrupt class system designed to keep the people in check, or a system that favors everyone and gives all the people a chance to excel. You insolent little worm. How dare you presume that you are more powerful than me? I am an eight-tail and have fought many battles against our enemies. My power is without compare. I was almost able to beat the previous QB. What makes you think that you, a youngling, can beat me, whether you are the QB or not? I can beat you for the exact reason that I am young and am not the QB of old. I am better and I will show you my power when we fight. You, elder, will go and announce your battle to the people. Tell them to come and watch as you wipe the floor with the new king. Let them regale in your power. Go now. The old fox merely smirked and left to tell the kingdom of the battle tomorrow. Naruto smiled and turned back to the other two council members. Now that the pompous S is gone, I would like to ask the two of you what you think. Do you think I will be a good king, or will our people hate me for trying to change our kingdom? Hinamori and Kazuma were dumbstruck at their new king. Hinamori was the first to regain her senses. Lord Naruto was that wise. The elder is very strong and he wasn't simply boasting when he said he could almost take on the previous QB in battle. I think you should withdraw your challenge. Come now Hinamori, have you so little faith in me already? I'm hurt. It's not that we don't trust you Lord Naruto, it's just that Hinamori and I don't know your abilities. I'd rather not have you and the elder become king. I don't know you, but I'd rather have an evil I don't know than an evil I do. Sigh. Genmaki, do you trust me on this? With my life and on my honor. I would follow Lord Naruto to hell and back. If he believes he can beat the elder, I believe him. Hey, I've learned never to go against him on a challenge. He always wins. Be that as it may Genmaki, I just don't know. Ino made herself known to them at this point. If my husband says that he will beat him, he will beat him. Tell me, how big is this Ginjo in his full form? He is at least the size of the previous QB. Then Naruto will defeat him soundly. My husband is twice the size of the previous QB. And though we are young, we also have battle experience. Naruto has come closer to death than most ever will, and he crawls back from death's door each time, stronger and wiser for the experience. My husband will win. And on that note, we shall go to the kingdom tonight. Ino, I'm sorry, but I need you to stay here and watch over everyone. There's no telling what our enemies in the village will try to do if we both left. While I'm gone, I expect Tsunade to move into one of the other houses on the grounds or to move in with Sakura. Either will do. He crossed the room and took her in his arms, holding her tight. She leaned into the embrace and shared AK with him. Forgive me, my queen, but I go to secure our kingdom. I'll return to you with good news. Try to have some for me too. Goodbye, and tell Hikaru I love him. I will. Goodbye Naruto. I love you. I love you too. Alright guys, let's go. Holding on to Genmaki, they disappeared into the realm of foxes. Ino watched with tear-filled eyes. Please Naruto, come home safe. Naruto felt his feet touch on solid ground again and opened his eyes. He had expected open fields and instead found a vast city filled with foxes of all colors and sizes. There were old, wizened foxes lounging in the sun. There were small kids frolicking in the fields outside the town. There were merchants and vendors hawking their wares. Before anyone could see him, Naruto transformed into his fox form. The others looked at him questionably. I don't want my people thinking I'm too different from them just yet. I want them to trust in me first. After the fight I'll reveal who I am. Until then, I wish to walk among them as a normal fox. Let them think I am a dignitary and we shall see what happens. The others nodded to his desires and they walked through the city. Naruto watched as the foxes bowed to the two council members and seemed to smile when they saw Genmaki. When they looked at him though they were perplexed. They had never seen him before and all the council and nobles were well known so that you didn't slight them. He took notice of the looks and the hesitant nods and bows that he received. He stored that information for later. Then his ears picked up a conversation he had been waiting to hear. Have you heard of the challenge that happens tomorrow? The new king and the elder councilman will do battle. It should be a most interesting match. I hope the new king is better than the old QB. I at least hope he wins over the councilman. Our lives would be miserable if he won. I agree. Oh, here come some council members. Be polite. Naruto watched as the two gossiping foxes bowed politely, earning a glare from the two council members. Once they were past, Naruto turned to Hinamori. What was all that about? Does the council instill such fear that they demand respect even in passing? We merely wish respect for our position. Is that not so much to ask? No, I admit, it is not. However, what happens if they don't show the proper respect? Then they are punished. All we require is a quick bow or nod to show respect. I don't see what. Oh, now I see. Sigh. Yes, some of the council abuse this privilege and try to bend the public to their will. It is one of mine and Kazuma's worst shames. We are the youngest of the council and cannot do much about it. But, maybe with you we can change that. I'll see to it personally. The walk continued in silence until they came to the palace. Naruto's eyes bugged out when he saw his new abode. It was enormous. Obviously, the previous QB liked to rest in his full form. He turned to Genmaki. I don't want to stay here tonight. Let me sleep at your place. The council members were appalled by this. Before they could argue, Naruto quieted them. Look, Genmaki has been a guest in my home for years now. The most I can do is grace his home. Besides, he is my friend and I expect him to invite me over every now and then. Genmaki smiled and looked at the council members. If he didn't know better, he could see shock and, was that a hint of jealousy? He was going to live a long and happy life. His smile turned into a feral grin. With his king beating a council member his life got a whole lot better, especially since the old S tried to belittle him constantly. I would be honored to have you in my home, Lord Naruto. My wife and children would be happy to meet you. I have told them much of you. Perfect. Let us go there then. Hinamori, Kazuma, thank you for your help. Let the masses know that the battle is at noon tomorrow. If you need me I will be at the residence of Genmaki. With a nod of his head, he and Genmaki strode off to rest. Tomorrow would be a busy day. Hinamori and Kazuma watched them and turned, nodding to each other. Tomorrow would be an interesting day indeed. When Naruto and Genmaki arrived at Genmaki's house, Naruto was amazed at how plain his friend's house was. It was small and while it was comfortable, he knew that Genmaki deserved better. Naruto resolved to fix that little problem. He noticed Genmaki had stopped and had taken a deep breath. Please, Lord Naruto, do not look unkindly upon my home. It is small and not worthy of a king, but it is cozy and my wife keeps it clean. I hope you are at least comfortable. Do not worry, Genmaki. I am sure that all accommodations will be fine. Now then, how about introducing me to the missus and the children? Of course, Lord Naruto. After all introductions were made and Naruto had met Genmaki's lovely wife, Charisse, and his 3 kits. The kits fell in love with him immediately and were soon snuggled up beside him. He smiled and looked at Genmaki and Charisse. Should I show them my true form, Genmaki? They won't be too shocked, will they? I don't believe so, my lord. I think they will find you more lovable if you do. They have never seen a form such as yours. Charisse turned to her husband, highly confused. Husband, what do you mean? If Lord Naruto turns into his full form, our house will be demolished. That would be true, Charisse, if Lord Naruto had always been a demon. I never told you, but Lord Naruto was once a mortal man, a human, and therefore can access his full power in both his human and fox form. He simply prefers his human form. Really? That would be interesting. I've never seen a human before, only heard about them in legend. Aren't they supposed to look like hairless apes? She heard Naruto laugh and the kits looked up at him as he stood and moved away from them. They were slightly perturbed that their warmth had disappeared but were spellbound as flame engulfed him and he appeared before them in his human form, clad in his forsaken Samaritan clothing, with his tails waving proudly and his ears twitching. The children and Charisse were dumbfounded. That is until the kid's natural curiosity kicked in and they scampered up to Naruto, asking him question after question. He answered them all and then sat down with his legs crossed in the middle of the floor and let the kids clamber over him, while he scratched their ears and rubbed their fur. They purred in contentment while Charisse sniffed him, trying to find any deception. Genmaki merely watched with amusement, trying not to laugh at his wife and children. Naruto finally decided to change back to his fox form, to the chagrin of the children, who had begun to drift off to sleep while he rubbed their fur. He made up for it though by keeping them warm at night. He offered to babysit while Genmaki and Charisse had a night off. It wasn't often that he got to be of much use to Genmaki, so he tried to make up where he could. He thought of it as payback for watching Hikaru. Content to just be warm while the kids curled against him, he went to sleep, thinking of the next day and dreaming of his family at home. The morning came too quickly for Naruto and the kids. Genmaki woke them all with a whack of the tail, earning a harsh tongue lashing from his wife for striking the king. When he told her how he punished the king's son, she nearly fainted, and Naruto got up grumbling. He didn't want to leave his dream about Ino, but he had to prepare himself for the battle ahead. After a brief meditation to calm his nerves, they left the house and headed for the field where the battle was to take place. It was enormous and there had to be over 1 million foxes there, all waiting to see their new king and the elder fight. There hadn't been a battle of this magnitude in ages and no one wanted to miss it. Especially with the ramifications it could mean if the new monarch lost. Everyone who had that thought shuddered and quickly shook their bee to relieve themselves of the horrid thought. They watched as Genmaki and an unknown fox approached the council and a widely grinning Ginjo. So Genmaki, this is Uzumaki Naruto, our new king. He doesn't look like much. Genmaki saw the grimace on Naruto's face and quickly spoke to end the tension. This is he. I place my life in his hands and my trust in his reign. Very good. Let us get this over with. Councilman Ginjo, Lord Naruto, proceed to the battlefield. The battle is over when one or gives up. Begin when ready. Naruto and Ginjo padded to the middle of the battlefield and stood facing each other. He heard Genmaki yell for everyone to stand back and the mass of foxes made a ring around the battlefield. With their superior vision, they could watch the battle from afar and still see perfectly. Naruto motioned for Ginjo to go first as he was the elder of the two. Ginjo smirked and began his transformation. He always loved to show off his power and it was never more evident than when he could take his true form. Normally the foxes kept their full power in check, since it wouldn't do to have mega foxes running amok. Naruto watched while the white fox grew to monumental sizes until he truly was as big, if not a little bigger, than the previous Kyuubi. The old fox roared with laughter as he looked at Naruto's face from in the clouds. Now then, young one, are you scared yet of my fearsome might? Do you see why you should respect one who has been around longer than you and seen more battle than you ever will? Tell me, old one, how far will your shame go when I grind you into the ground? To lose to one so young as me and yet I am more powerful than you ever were in your prime. I am in my prime, you young fool. A fox demon only gets stronger as the years go on. Every day we wake up we are in our prime. Then I have nothing to look forward to except an eternity of unmatched power. Let me show you what I mean, old fox. To the wonderment of all present, Naruto began to grow and grow, past Ginjo into the stratosphere. Where in the mortal realm, he had been 3 times the size of Gamabunta, here he was twice the size of Ginjo. All eyes were wide as they looked at their new king. Ginjo was livid. The size of a demon was the size of their power, and if this was any indication, Naruto was twice as powerful as him. Do you see now, old one? You should not have insulted me. Tell me, old one, what would you do if I told you this was not my true form? I would call you a liar. There is no way you can become bigger. You're right, but I can become smaller. I would like to fight you in my real true form. I believe that being defeated by me when I am smaller will be sufficient enough to humble you significantly. Without another word, Naruto began to shrink until he was back in his normal form. He then let loose a burst of his power, erupting his body into flame, until he stood before them clothed in his forsaken Samaritan outfit, his blue eyes seeming to shine ethereally. He could hear the many whispers from his people as to how a mortal was their king and yet he had more power than the elder. Naruto looked up at the elder and smirked. Now then, old one, shall we begin? He heard the whispers again about how his voice had changed and he shut them out, to better focus upon Ginjo. The white fox let out a roar and tried to s him with a paw. He deftly moved out of the way. Thus began a dodging game, with the elder trying to squish him and Naruto jumping out of the way, smiling the whole time. Ginjo began to get frustrated with his opponent. It had been nearly 10 minutes and no one had landed a blow yet. He growled low and screamed out. Are you afraid to fight me, boy? Are you that much of a coward? The masses felt a chill go through them as Naruto stood stock still and looked at the ground. Seeing his opening, Ginjo raised his paw and brought it down full force onto the golden-haired fox. He roared with laughter at his easy victory and the crowd fell silent, with downtrodden faces. They knew what would happen if the old fox became the king. His laughter s in his tea, however, when he felt a pressure on his paw, that slowly built and built until it threatened to see through. He leapt back and away, nursing his paw, and looked at the still standing Naruto, who had wind whipping all around his body, making his clothing and hair dance in the hurricane force wind. All the Vulpine looked in awe at their regent, who had taken on an otherworldly glow. Call me a coward, will you? I have been called many things in my life, Ginjo. Brat, weakling, demon, bastard child, monster. I have been called much in my life, Ginjo, but coward has never been one of them. The Vulpine watched in horror as Naruto blurred from existence and reappeared on top of Ginjo's head. He growled deep in his tea and charged a Rasengan and drove it into the top of the white wolf's head. Ginjo howled in pain and rolled over, trying to crush Naruto with his weight. Naruto leapt into the air and came down hard onto the wolf's belly with a wind charge axe kick. It was becoming quickly apparent that Ginjo was outclassed in this match, even with Naruto a mere dust mite. Ginjo rolled to his feet as Naruto landed in front of him. How are you so powerful in that form? It shouldn't be possible. I'm powerful because I have something to protect from a like you. I was going to let you live, but no one calls Uzumaki Naruto a coward. Even my wife knows better. Deciding he had toyed with the old fox enough, Naruto began to channel all his power into his right hand. His whole body shook with power and the aura around him changed to a dangerous red. To all apparent, their monarch was a terrible Oni, one who brought down swift justice in a terrible way. He was more frightening than the previous Kyuubi, and yet the children had no fear of him. Genmaki's children in particular were yipping and cheering for him. It was like he exuded a peaceful calm along with the K intent. It was truly scary and exhilarating. The power in his right hand was excruciatingly painful and he knew he couldn't hold it forever. He watched as the ball took shape and the winds began to form it into a shuriken, spinning above his head. The old fox watched in horror as Naruto charged him, his fangs bared, and shoved the Rasen shuriken deep into his his H. Everyone leapt back as the Anik body came hurtling down, and once it had impacted with the earth, it shrank back to its normal size, its power no longer keeping it going. Naruto turned to his people and gave them a small smile. He truly regretted K the old fox, but he had learned that mercy, for people with narrow minds, was not something that could be afforded. My people, I am your king, Uzumaki Naruto. I was at one time a mortal man, the jailer of your previous king. He was sealed into me at birth and I lived my whole life hated because of it. I hated the Kyuubi, I despised him. Your monarch had no honor in my eyes and he attacked my village without provocation. Now I am the Kyuubi and there will be changes in the fox realm. I am sorry about K the elder councilman, but he was of the old guard and he looked down upon me and my ideals. I value, above all else, loyalty to one's country and one's ideals. All I ask from you, all of you, is that you help me to change the traditions of the kingdom to something that serves the whole realm and not just a select number. He turned fully to them and lifted his blue eyes, and gave them a foxy grin. He truly looked like a fox, even in his human form, and the way he held himself let the vulpine know that he was a man of the people. So what do you say? Help me out. His answer was a chorus of yips and howls, signifying their acceptance of him as their leader. Naruto's smile widened and he turned to the body of the now-s Ginjo. He saw several foxes gathering around it and he let the smile fall from his face. I assume you are all from the White Crown clan. I am truly sorry for his death. It was needless. If only he had listened to me. A large brown fox stepped forward and bowed low before Naruto. Do not worry, Lord Naruto. We do not seek vengeance. Ginjo was powerful, but he was not the wisest of us. He felt that might made right and not all shared his viewpoint. To the end, might was all he understood. It never occurred to him that someone could overpower him in battle. I and my clan will follow you in whatever you desire. Hail Kyuubi. Hail Kyuubi. Naruto basked in the adulation of his new people and walked into the city to his palace, to begin his new life as the king of the Vulpine. Once the battlefield cleared and the foxes had all followed Naruto to listen to his speech, only Genmaki, his family, Hinamori, and Kazuma were left on the field. Genmaki had the biggest smirk on his face that a fox could have and turned his head to grin at the still gawking council members. See, told ya so. Nobody beats Lord Naruto. Nobody. With that, he and his family left to go home. Hinamori and Kazuma stood like statues until Kazuma whispered into the wind. This will be a most interesting reign indeed. Hail Kyuubi. In her sleep, Ino dreamt of Naruto battling a giant fox. She cringed when it went to crush him and smiled when he defeated it, earning the love of his people. As she rolled to her side in her sleep, she scowled, missing the warmth of her husband. The only intelligible words one could understand in her sleep were, "Come home soon, Naruto. I love you and I miss you." Naruto scowled as he sat on the steps leading to the throne. He didn't want the people thinking he was too high and mighty, so he sat on the top step and addressed them. All right, let's set a few things straight. I'm not stupid enough to barge in and think I'm going to change everything at once, but there are going to be some changes. I lived in a ninja village, a military state, and I liked the system there. It needed some amendments here and there, but for the most part Konoha got it right. They have a class system there too, and it's complete B. Favoritism is one of my biggest peeves and I will not tolerate it here. B means nothing to me. If you are strong, you are strong. If you are smart, then you are smart. I don't believe that any one person is better than the next. In my younger days I would run around spouting how much better I was than everyone else. I was a fool. There were plenty better than me. Here, in my kingdom, all will have a chance to be of importance. I won't have a class system that keeps bright and promising minds and be down. All will have a chance or none will. The murmur that passed through the gathering of foxes was audible. If they didn't have a class system, how were they to tell who was important and who wasn't? Naruto caught some of the worried whispers and knew they came from the upper class. Do not fear. Those who consider themselves noble can still have their noble B. But no longer will those of supposed, inferior, B be relegated to mere servants or S. In my army, those of strong body will be warriors and shall fight for our causes or the cause of our summoners. Those with sound minds will be advisors and strategists. Our people will unite in a way never before seen to the Vulpine. Is this acceptable? The council stepped forward and sat at the bottom of the steps, Kazama and Hinamori on each end and a large red fox in the middle. The red fox was obviously older than the other two and as such was the spokesperson. Lord Naruto, these are admittedly good ideas, but how can you keep a class system and still have equality? If someone is noble then they will always be better than someone of ignoble B. That might be true, but I don't believe so. I have friends back home, who came from no-name houses. Rock Lee, Haruno Sakura, Tenten, they all came from no-name houses or were orphans. But they are excellent shinobi, held in the highest esteem even though their B does not wax noble. If one of the lower class shows a pud or ability, we should not suppress it, we should encourage it. If we deny anyone the chance to better themselves then we see off our noses to spite our own faces. But what of the servants? What of the workers? What will happen to our quality of life? Your quality of life should not change. I merely wish to beef up our military and make our people knowledgeable. Tell me, do all the children know of the illustrious history of the Vulpine? No, the lower class children do not. That will be rectified. I want to put up a library of our accomplishments and let the children and any who seek knowledge be able to access it. The Vulpine are a proud race, a proud people, but over the years you have fallen to the side because of a terrible ruler and isolationalism. You have sanctioned yourself off from the rest of the demon realms and for what? To be left alone. To not know what goes on in the world outside. This must be changed. Very well. I find the idea intriguing at least. What of our summoners? I know that you have let some mortals sign the contract that has not been used for eons. Who has it and are they trustworthy? Indeed they are. The signers are my wife and my son. I wish to let the children of my ex-wife sign as well, if only to protect them from their s of a father. I have offered our services as the protectors of Konoha and I expect you all to serve in times of need. The contract will be passed down through my son's family and it will be an heirloom. Your son. What need has your son for the contract if he is a fox? Naruto looked sadly down upon the crowd and a small smile adorned his face. My son is mortal, elder. He was born when I was mortal and he will s before me. My wife is of demonic B now though and our children will be demon. But Hikaru is F and B mortal, and so shall his children be. I only ask that you serve him if he calls. We shall without hesitation. I am sorry that your son is mortal. It is a difficult thing that no parent should have to go through, watching their child s before them. Yes, I'm sure it will be difficult but I shall cross that bridge when I come to it. Now then, that is all I wanted to talk about at the moment. I would like to wander my kingdom for the moment and mingle with my people. We will discuss the terms of how I want to implement these changes later. For now, everyone just relax and enjoy time with your families. And if you see me, at least say hello. The crowd chuckled and began to disperse. Their monarch would indeed be interesting. Genmaki strode forward and climbed the steps, sitting to Naruto's right. What will we do now, Lord Naruto? You seem to have the support of the people, but can you make your plans carry through? Can we succeed in this endeavor? We can, my friend. We can indeed. I'm going to survey my kingdom now. I want you to check back in on Hikaru and Ino. Make sure Sasuke hasn't tried to pull anything funny, okay? Hi, my lord. Naruto watched as Genmaki transported himself back to the mortal plane. He stood and stretched. It was time to make some rounds and maybe visit the toads. Genmaki arrived on the grounds outside the Uzumaki household in the middle of the day. No one was around and he couldn't sense or smell anyone in the house. It seemed odd to him and he didn't like the feeling it gave him. He'd never gone to the Fox realm and not come back to find Hikaru or Ino. It was disturbing. Catching a scent, he ran off toward the marketplace. Perhaps he'd find him there. As he ran through the market, he looked frantically for his young charge. His thoughts quickly turned to his two other charges and he swore to himself that he'd get them some guardians as soon as possible. With their father on the loose, it wouldn't do to have them unprotected. Catching a scent, he began to sprint to the location of the smell. What he saw made his bee boil. There, standing in front of his master's family, was the so-called Hokage, with a group on Anbu behind him. His queen stood in front of the children alongside his master's ex-wife. This certainly didn't look good. Hiding quickly, he listened in on the conversation, deciding to step in when needed. He heard the Uchiha speak. If you know what's good for you, Uzumaki, you'll step aside and let me retrieve my children. They're mine to do with as I please, and as your Hokage I suggest you do as I say. I'm prepared to use force. Ino snarled and bared her fangs. She was a fearsome sight, and when she began growling deeply in her tea, some of the Anbu took a step back. She flexed her fingers and cracked her knuckles. I don't think so, Uchiha. These children are under the protection of the foxes, and you have a restraining order against you if I remember right. Now run along like a good little Hokage before things get messy. Things will get messy if you don't let them come. Jugo, Karen, come here. I don't have time for this. Get over here now. The two small children huddled behind Hikaru, who stood defiant to the Hokage. He wouldn't let his siblings and playmates be taken by anyone. Sakura, it seemed, was so mad she was on the verge of tears. Sasuke, I put a restraining order against you. You can't come near me or the kids. Go away and leave us alone. Sasuke smirked and pulled a scroll out of his pocket. It's amazing the things you can do as Hokage, especially when you have the council on a short leash. I abolished that restraining order and can move freely as I will. Those children are mine and will be raised and taught to be true Uchiha. I won't have them taught by an ignorant bee or a fox W. Now you two get over here. Ino was shaking, literally shaking with fury. She had to do something before this got out of hand. Calming herself with a deep breath, she gazed hatefully into the Uchiha's eyes. Jugo, Karen, do you want to go with your father? Two simultaneous shakes of the head were her answer. Do you want to stay with me and your mother? Two rapid nods were her answer. There, Sasuke, these children don't want to be near you. You frighten them. I'm asking you as a human being and a father to leave them alone. They are mine. My F&B and mine to do with as I please. Anbu, take them by force. Ino immediately went into the vulpine stance that Naruto taught her and growled low in her tea. Don't you move. The Anbu weren't sure what to do. They didn't want to disobey the Hokage, but Ino was a demoness now and could probably yell them apart. The two children in question were apparently under the protection of the new Kyuubi and his mate, and it wouldn't be good for them to be taken by force. One Anbu shuddered at the thought of what Naruto would do if he heard that the small Uchiha children had been taken against their will. It wouldn't be pretty. The Anbu leader stepped forward and bowed before his Hokage. Uchiha-sama, I'm sorry but I can't let my men get involved in a domestic affair. It would be unseemly. So you're telling me that you won't do what I say? Not in this instance, no. You're demoted. Now leave my sight. The Anbu shifted and balled his fists. You can't demote me for something trivial like this. This is unfair, Uchiha-sama. I don't care. I'm the Hokage. I have the power. You're demoted. The rest of you grab my children. A shout of, Kuchio's no jutsu, rang out and Genmaki was pulled immediately to Hikaru's side. Genmaki. Oh. I am so glad to see you. Indeed, Master Hikaru. What seems to be the problem? The Hokage is trying to take Jugo and Karen away from us. That will not happen. I shall see to it personally. The Anbu were even more nervous now. Not only was the Queen of Demon Foxes in front of them, but now a five-tailed fox stood before them too. To make matters worse, this would definitely get back to Naruto. The day couldn't get any better. Ino could see them fidgeting and decided to cash in on their nervousness. If you don't leave now, I'll summon Naruto and he'll definitely take care of this. Remember, Sasuke, we swore to protect Konoha and its people first. We swore no loyalty to the Hokage. And if you persist in this line of thought, we'll pack up and move to Suna. I'm sure that Gaara would love to have Naruto as one of his country's summons. Sasuke growled and turned around, his robes billowing in the wind. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. Your husband can't protect you forever and I'll have my revenge. I'll get my legacy back. Without another word or look back, he strode off toward the Hokage Tower, leaving a less stressful Ino and Sakura, and a few remorseful Anbu. The former leader took his mask off and bowed to Ino. My lady, I am sorry for what transpired here today. If only your husband had become Hokage instead of him, we would be better off. Of this I have no doubt. My only shame in living in this village is that our leaders have become so corrupt. I apologize for everything that happened here today. Do not apologize for things outside your control. You made the right decision. I'm only sorry that it cost you your position. The unmasked Anbu merely smiled and put his mask back on. A position is worthless if you don't have honor. Taking those children by force and against their will would have been a huge mistake. I won't subject them to that thing that calls itself a father. I have my own children and I hope they never act like that. I'd much rather they act like your husband. Ino raised an eyebrow. You mean act like a demon? The Anbu laughed and turned away. He looked back over his shoulder before he leapt away. If acting like a demon means being a kind, loving, loyal person, then yes, I want my children to act like demons. I worked with your husband on a few missions, my lady, and he is not a demon in heart, only in body. Good day to you. And with that he leapt off onto the rooftops. Ino turned back to the group with a smile, her tails waving happily. I think we should go back home before anything else happens today. We should tell Naruto when he returns about this little incident. And Hikaru. Yes, Mom. Thank you for summoning Genmaki. I didn't want to summon your father unless I had to. He might have been in a meeting with the council at the moment and it wouldn't look good if the queen can't take care of herself. Genmaki kept silent until they were inside of the Uzumaki house again. He let the two women get situated with a cup of tea and the children went off to play. Actually, Lord Naruto wasn't in a meeting with the council. He's wandering the countryside at the moment, taking in your kingdom. The people, as far as I can see, love him already. He made one hell of an impression. Oh, how so? He K the elder councilman for looking down upon him. He didn't want to, but what king can have his people looking down on him like he was rubbish? It wouldn't be good. He's making headway though. He K the elder. How? I believe the term was, Raisin Shuriken. Ino scowled when she thought of that jutsu. It brought back bad memories. Memories of Asuma's death and watching Naruto shred his arm to pieces. He knows better than to use that jutsu. It hurts him too much. Why didn't he just transform and fight the elder that way? He was much bigger than the elder. You must understand, Lady Ino, that as a fox grows older, they grow in power. RB grow to accommodate this power. The forms you saw the council take are naught but transformed states. The elder, in all actuality, was as large as the Kyuubi who tried to destroy Konoha. But Naruto's power is immense. He was as large as the Kyuubi here, maybe a little bigger. It wouldn't have been an easy fight. Genmaki smirked and had to bite back a laugh. Lady Ino, you don't think that the form Lord Naruto took here was all his power, do you? Sakura and Ino looked at each other quizzically. What in the hell was this loopy throw rug getting at? Genmaki, seeing their looks, decided to elaborate. That wasn't Lord Naruto's true form either. In truth, he is twice the size of the previous Kyuubi. His power is immense. Ino gaped at this. Was her husband really that powerful? She had been blowing smoke to the council that night when she said he was twice the size of the Kyuubi. It scared and exhilarated her all at once. Scared because he could K her at a moment's notice. Exhilarated because he was all hers. But why didn't he let his full power be known? What's the ninja saying? Look underneath the underneath. If the Uchiha believes that Lord Naruto is only as powerful as the previous Kyuubi, he will underestimate him, leading to his downfall. You, yourself, grow more powerful every day, my lady. I don't feel more powerful. I was only as big as a Great Dane last time I transformed. True, but you only had one tail too. You'd probably be about the size of a small house now. Remember, my lady, that you have been a demon for far less time than Lord Naruto. He has essentially been a demon all his life and as such, he was acclimated to the power before he ever changed. It's simply a matter of time before your body catches up to your status as queen. Thank you, Genmaki. Knowledge is power and all that. Now, care to tell me why you were hiding in the alleyway back there and not helping us? Genmaki lowered his ears and whined piteously. He had hoped that his queen hadn't noticed him in all the hubbub. I didn't want to interfere with something I knew nothing about. I had only recently arrived and was searching for you frantically. I thought something was wrong. You all handled yourselves admirably, however. I would like to talk to Lord Naruto about getting the Uchiha children some fox guardians though. Perhaps some 3 tails. I'm the first fox besides the QB and the council to come to the human realm in quite some centuries after all. Most think it's a legend. Tell me, what did my people think of Naruto's human form? The children loved it. They thought it was the coolest thing they had ever seen. I believe my children actually called him a hairless ape, and asked if he was a relative of Enma, the Monkey King. Luckily, Lord Naruto has a good sense of humor. Ino smiled at this and thought fondly of her absent husband. It's not in Naruto's nature to be angry at children for acting like children. He didn't have much of a childhood himself. Most of the time he loves to join the children in playing. It makes him feel young again. I know how he feels. My children didn't want him to leave the house. They were quite taken with him. I believe I should leave and ask for him to assign some guardians to Juugo and Karen. Perhaps you should have a fox too, Sakura. Tsunade as well. I shall find out. Excuse me, Lady Ino. Ino merely waved her hand and Genmaki disappeared to the fox realm. Sakura turned to her friend in awe, amazed that she handled all that so well. Ino, how do you handle that kind of news like it was nothing? Ino smirked and took a sip of her tea. Sakura, my husband is the king of all the foxes, I'm a queen, Lee can actually use a jutsu, and my stepson is the heir to a contract that hasn't seen human hands for eons. What's there to be surprised about anymore? Sakura sipped her tea and thought on that. Shrugging it off, she wondered what color fox she might get. Genmaki appeared behind his king, who was currently in the process of playing with several fox kits in a meadow. The kits ignored him, preferring to sniff and jump all over and around Naruto, who lay on his back watching the clouds. His ears twitched when he heard Genmaki crunching the grass beneath him. Watcher need Genmaki. I take it everything is ship-shape in the human realm. Actually, the Uchiha tried to take his children by force. Naruto immediately shooed the kits off him, receiving several menacing growls of annoyance. He ignored them and turned to face his friend and advisor. What happened? Is everyone alright? Do not worry. Lady Ino and Master Hikaru handled themselves admirably. Master Hikaru even had the presence of mind to summon me, even though I was there watching. I believe you may need to step up your assigning a fox to the Uchiha children. You may want to put foxes with Tsunade and Sakura too. It wouldn't be a bad idea. You're probably right about that. Glad I thought of it. Genmaki frowned at the poor sense of humor. I thought of that, my lord. Naruto grinned at his friend. Yeah, but as king, your ideas are my ideas, so whatever you get right, I get credit for. That's not fair. Don't worry. At least I know you're smart, no matter what your wife says. Now, any suggestions as to who to assign to what person? At least a 3-tail for each one. Some of the younger foxes would be best. They will bond to their charge well and will be loyal as long as they are treated with respect and dignity. Not like how Hikaru treats me. Hey, he only treats you like that because you let him. Be that as it may, the little brat shouldn't pull people's tails. It isn't nice and I can't guarantee that the younger foxes wouldn't bite him. I'll keep that in mind. Let's go find some volunteers. We'll be looking for bright and strong foxes. Ones that will suit the personality of the person they will be guarding. They began their trek back toward the city. It would be difficult to locate foxes who were right for the right person. Naruto decided to go by personality. For Juugo, who was bold, he would need a fox that was humble, with a good head on its shoulders. They found that in a 4-tailed gold fox named Jin. With one added to their troop they continued onward. Karen was a shy girl, much like Hinata had been. No doubt because of the presence of an overbearing father who only pointed out her faults. They found in a park, a 3-tailed red fox named Shin, who was brimming with confidence and energy. Surely he would be able to bring the girl out of her shell. Sakura was a tough one to think of. She would need a vixen. Naruto didn't want to run the risk of a perverted fox, and someone who could help her with the children. The group found that in a kindly 5-tailed fox named Megumi, who was watching over some kits in the park. She had none of her own and thought that watching over human children would be a wonderful experience. She agreed wholeheartedly. The last and most difficult was Tsunade. She would need a vixen as well, same reasons as Sakura, but she needed one who could keep her cool and think straight. Tsunade was too ruled by her emotions, especially when she'd been drinking. Naruto was nearly in a fit since he couldn't find one. Genmaki had an idea though, and the group streaked back to the park. There they found a four-tailed fox of an amber color playing shogi. Her name was Penny, and Genmaki said she was the most intelligent fox he'd ever met. Flattered by the praise, she nonetheless turned him down until Naruto pulled his trump card. You like shogi, yes? The amber fox nodded. What if I said I had a master shogi player in Konoha, the likes of which you'd never seen before? I'd say you were bluffing. If I said he was a genius. Bluffing. Fine. I don't have time for this. Shikamaru could kick your ass any day of the week at any strategy game anyway. Any strategy game, you say? Perhaps I will go. But if he doesn't live up to expectations, I shall abandon my post. It would be much too troublesome to stay there in the mortal realm. Naruto's sweat dropped when he heard this. Ye gods, she's a female version of Shikamaru. Tsunade will love her. Suddenly, a thought ran through his head and he spun around to face Genmaki. We need to go back to the palace. I need to check on something first. But Lord Naruto, we're not allowed in the palace. The rules. F the rules. You're all coming, so deal with it. I need to check on something and you're all going to help me. After a short while in the disorganized library of the palace, Naruto had what he was looking for. With his troop in tow, Naruto went back to the mortal realm. Ino was brushing the tangles out of her tails when she heard a loud poomph from the backyard and looked out the window to see Naruto, Genmaki, and 4 unidentified foxes. She leapt out the window and tackled her husband to the ground. The foxes all watched with amusement. Ino, get off me. We have guests, you know. At least act like a queen. The foxes' eyes all went wide and they quickly bowed before her. One would think that they would have noticed the purple tails and ears, but it's easy to miss when a blonde missile comes out of a window. Ino had the good grace to blush and tell him to stand up. Please don't bow before me. I still don't officially feel like a queen yet. Naruto dusted himself off and looked up at the sky. It was dark out and the moon was hanging directly overhead. Ino noticed his confused look and asked him why he was staring like that. It was daytime when we left the fox realm. I wonder why that is. Does it take that long to travel between realms? I've never noticed it, Lord Naruto. Perhaps it does though. Ino saw fit to interrupt their musings by putting her hands on her hips and looking at them with her head. Not that I mind having you home, but aren't you early? You've only been gone 4 days. Naruto gaped at her, his mouth wide. 4 days. Ino, we've only been gone 2 days at the most. It's not possible. Well, I'm pretty sure I can read a damn calendar and see the sky changing from day to night, and that's happened 4 times since you've been gone. I see, time must move more slowly in the fox realm. That may be the reason for longevity there. Indeed. We shall look into it later, however. For now, we have a task to attend to. Ah yes, thank you Genmaki. Ino, be a dear and fetch Tsunade, Sakura and the kids please. Why? Because I have the guardians here. Her mouth formed an O shape and she took off to the guest house to wake the others. She returned shortly with a disheveled Sakura, sleepy Jugo and Karen, and a severely pissed off Tsunade. She hadn't been able to sleep soundly in years, and now one of her best night's sleep gets interrupted. This better be good. Naruto noticed her frustration and decided to kick things off. Okay folks, I've got something you'll enjoy. We'll start off with Tsunade, since she seems eager to get on with her beauty sleep, especially since she really needs it. What the hell did you say, brat? Kidding, kidding. Alright, Tsunade, Penny, step forward please. The two stepped forward and eyed each other with curiosity. Tsunade was about to reach out and rub the fox's head when it spoke. Please don't pet me. I don't know you well enough for that type of familiarity yet. Well, perhaps we should get to know each other better tomorrow. I'm tired and now I'm thirsty. If any of you need me, I'm going to get some sake and go back to sleep. Penny eyed her head and asked politely. What is sake? Tsunade's eyes widened and she ran and hugged the fox around the Oh you poor dear, you don't know the wonders of sake. Come with me, we'll rectify this right now. As the two stalked off into the night, the only thing Naruto could think was, too easy. His next match was Sakura and Megumi, who walked forward and sniffed Sakura, causing the woman to stiffen. Megumi's head shot back in surprise before she sat back on her haunches in front of Sakura and addressed her with her soft voice. You smell faintly of Lord Naruto in a familiar sense. The young one with yellow and pink hair also smells of the two of you. Tell me, is he your child? Yes, he is mine and Naruto's son. Really, I was under the impression that he was Lord Naruto and Lady Ino's son. No, he is mine. I'm Naruto's ex-wife. Ah, that is why you smell of him. I'm sorry if I dredged up bad memories. Not at all. Tell me, if I serve and protect you, will you let me play with the kids and be near them? I do so love children. Sakura's face softened and her body seemed less tense. She smiled at Megumi and scratched the fox's ear, making her purr in contentment. Of course Megumi, you can play with them all you want. In fact, they play in the park with other children all the time. I guarantee you'll be a big hit. Thank you my lady. Megumi followed Sakura back beside the children and lay down. Juugo stepped forward and the fox known as Jin strode forward and looked at his young charge. Juugo, being brash, let his feelings be known quickly. I'm not sure I want him. He looks lazy and stupid. Jin, to his credit, took this in stride and whacked Juugo on the head with one of his tails. The impassive look never left his face. I can see we're going to have to work on manners with you. You are too impatient little one. You didn't even give me a chance to introduce myself. Lord Naruto, I have a lot of work ahead of me. Naruto chuckled and waved his hand dismissively. Jin simply picked Juugo up by the seat of his pants with one of his tails and sat beside Megumi, who scolded him for hitting the child. Jin just yawned and laid his head on his paws. He wasn't bored for long though, since Shin bounced forward, a ball of perpetual energy. Hey, come one little girl, I want to meet you. Come over here. Karen was hiding behind her mother's legs and wouldn't have gone if Shin wouldn't have gotten bored and rushed over beside her, sniffing her up and down. Poor Karen just froze and looked terrified until Shin began to lick her face, tickling her. She couldn't hold her laughter in and was tackled to the ground while Shin used his tails and tongue to tickle her all over. Everyone watched the small sideshow until Shin let her up and the poor little girl caught her breath. There now, nothing to be afraid of. See. I'm perfectly harmless. I think you and I are going to get along just fine. We'll work on your shyness first. Fanning your flames of youth will be easy with me as your guide and mentor. Everyone gaped in horror at what he had said. Naruto's thoughts were running overtime. Another Shikamaru I could take. An overly motherly fox I could take. Hell, a totally lazy version of an apathetic Gaara, I could take. But not another one of those. Shin, you are never to use the phrase, flames of youth, ever again. But Lord Naruto, it would be most unyouthful of me. That either. That's a new law. But the springtime of youth. New law. But, new law. Once Naruto had calmed down enough, he put the rest of his plan into motion. Alright, I want all of you to see your palm and then see the paw of your particular fox. This will bind them to you in this realm. But remember, these are your only familiars. You can't have any more, it's a one-time thing, so treat them with respect. Vulpine, be nice and get to know your new companions. You'll be in the mortal realm for quite a while, so get acquainted with your surroundings, okay? Now everyone get busy. And someone tell Sunit to do this when she wakes up in the morning. Ino and Naruto stood side by side, watching the people and foxes go to their respective houses and beds. Naruto quickly wrapped his arms around her and pulled her in for AK. I'm sorry Ino, but I have to go back now. I've been here too long as it is. I'll be back soon, I promise. Okay. I wish I could go with you. Me too, sweetie, me too. What does our kingdom look like? It's beautiful Ino. They'll love you there. No one else has fur like yours. You'll be a very popular little vixen. Do I have to go around in fox form? No, I usually walk around in my human form. The kids love it when I do that. Now, I gotta go. I love you. I love you too. As Naruto disappeared, Ino sighed and began her trek back to the house. She stopped about halfway, a tick mark above her head. Hey, why didn't I get a cute fox companion? That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.